A young man was called to a bridge in the middle of the night. 3 times, he had to put shoes on a stranger. Before dawn, the old man pressed a bamboo scroll into his hands. He said, "Read this through, and you may become teacher to a king." The young man later did help a man in plaincloth found an empire. It lasted 400 years. That scroll holds only about 1,300 characters. Its title is The Plain Book, the Su Shu. Good evening. This is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we're reading The Plain Book. If you're already lying down, good. Dim the lamp a little more. Set the phone farther away. Pull the blanket up. The book is very short. 6 chapters. Together only a little over 1,000 characters. Yet in the Chinese tradition of strategy and living in the world, it holds a special place. Legend calls it the heaven-sent book that Huang Shigong passed to Zhang Liang. Zhang Liang used it to help Liu Bang settle the realm. Then he withdrew when his work was done. He was later honored as the Sage of Counsel. Tonight you don't need to memorize the whole text. You don't need to lock in all 6 chapter titles. Just follow my voice. Listen to how those 1,000-odd characters speak. Way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, ritual. Listen to when to advance and when to retreat. Listen to what kind of person can stand high without falling. Fall asleep halfway? Don't worry. The way of advance and retreat won't test you at midnight. Your heart can loosen slowly. I won't blame you. Let me say the plain thing first. Tonight you don't need to become a master of strategy. You don't need to list tomorrow's moral homework before you sleep. You only need to carry away one feeling. A short book can still run deep. A high place can still feel steady. When you're urgent, advance may not be right. When you retreat, it may not be defeat. The plain book is not teaching you to calculate against other people. It teaches you to stand yourself up first. Then do the thing right. When you're done, you may fear the word scheming a little less. You may chase it a little less blindly. You don't need to understand everything. Close your eyes and listen. That's enough. The plain book is attributed to Huang Shigong, a recluse said to have lived at the end of the Qin and the start of the Han. He met Zhang Liang at Yiqiao Bridge. Whether Huang Shigong was a real person, scholars still argue. That Zhang Liang received a book, served the Han, and withdrew in old age history records that the details were polished by later storytellers. Tonight we're not running a court case. We're reading the text and the warmth inside the legend. Plain means simple, unadorned, not flashy. Book means truths meant for a human ear. Not battlefield tricks for show. It is not like the art of war, which stays on the field of battle. It is not like the Guiguzi, which stays on alliance and persuasion. It feels more like an old man at a bridge. Testing your patience. Testing your humility. Testing whether you'll keep a promise and rise before dawn. Then placing the few sentences that matter most into your hands. The book has 6 chapters. Titles vary slightly between editions. Commonly they are the original root, the right path, tactics and wisdom, root virtue in the way as source, observing righteousness, and securing oneself through ritual. Original speaks of the route. Right path speaks of the road. Tactics and wisdom speaks of use. Root virtue in the way as source speaks of the foundation of virtue in the way. Observing righteousness speaks of holding to what is right. Securing oneself through ritual speaks of finding stability through propriety. 6 chapters, 6 pillars. One theme: a person must first clarify the way and build virtue. Then speak of cleverness. Cleverness without benevolence, righteousness, and ritual cannot stand. Reading it is not like reading a thesis. It's like hearing someone who has already watched rise and fall. Speaking to you at night. Saying, don't hurry to win. Ask first whether you're fit to win. Reading the plain book, bring one question in with you. Is the advance you want something your heart is truly ready for? Or only something you can't bear to lose? The plain book won't hand you a success checklist. It will show you why Zhang Liang had to put on those shoes 3 times at the bridge. Why the 5 words, way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, ritual, must stay in that order. Why lines like strike when the other side is weak and hit the empty place must come only after root virtue is laid down. 3 points circle around, but it's really one thing. Establish the person first, then establish the affair. If the person doesn't stand, the affair may look brilliant by day and still keep you awake at night. That young man at the opening was Zhang Liang, styled Zifang, a descendant of Korean nobility. After Qin destroyed Han, he once tried to assassinate the first emperor of Qin at Balangsha. He failed. He changed his name and fled. On the road of exile he met an old man at Yiqiao Bridge in Shapi. The old man told him to come at the 5th watch. Zhang Liang went. The old man was already there. He deliberately threw a shoe under the bridge. He said, "Boy, go fetch it." Zhang Liang was angry inside. "I'm a hunted man, why should I take this from you?" Still he went down. He picked up the shoe. He knelt and handed it back. The old man put out his foot and told him to put the shoe on. Zhang Liang was angrier. But he did it. The old man said, "This child can be taught." He made another appointment at the 5th watch. The second time Zhang Liang was late. The old man was already waiting. He said, "Late, not worth teaching." The third time Zhang Liang arrived at midnight. He waited a long while before the old man came. The old man tested him again with shoe fetching and shoe dressing. Zhang Liang did it all. The old man said, "I give you the Grand Duke's Art of War. Read it through, and you may become teacher to a king." Later Zhang Liang counseled Liu Bang from behind the curtain. He was enfeoffed as Marquis of Lu. He studied fasting in old age. He wandered with Master Red Pine. He died in peace. The records of the grand historian tell this story. Later ages added ornament. What we listen for is the structure. The old man was not testing cleverness. He was testing endurance, respect, and trust. Trust is coming at the 5th watch because you said you would. Trust is finishing what must be done even when you're insulted. The bridge episode, in the world of the plain book, works like a preface. The book never names Zhang Liang. Yet readers of the plain book can hardly get around him. Why? Because the book speaks of teacher to a king. Of root virtue and the way as source. Of securing oneself through ritual. If you mean to teach others, lead others, stand in a high place, you first pass a small exam like the one at the bridge. When someone treats you without courtesy, can you still finish the task? When someone tests you again and again, can you still keep your appointment? If at night you feel life keeps giving you a hard time, think about this. Sometimes the hard time tests temper, not fate. When temper steadies a little, the road shows a little more. Showing doesn't mean instant reversal. It means one more breath. I can endure once more. Do it once more. Wait once more. After Zhang Liang received the book, he did not show off at once. Legend says he read for many years before he came out into the chaos of the age. Coming out was not grabbing credit. It was that the time had arrived. The person had ripened. Virtue had arrived. The first chapter, the original root, speaks of this arriving. The way can be learned but not forced into another person. Virtue can be cultivated but not seized. Learning is slow understanding. Passing it on by force doesn't work. If tonight you want to master advance and retreat at once, the plain book says, you may learn. Don't hurry. Hurry is often advancing at the wrong hour. The original root opens with this. The way is to be clarified. Virtue is to be carried out in action. Benevolence is what completes things. Righteousness is what steadies them. Ritual is what nourishes them. The way must let people see direction clearly. Virtue must land in deeds. Benevolence lets affairs succeed and people gather. Righteousness lets relations hold and principles stand. Ritual lets the heart be nourished and boundaries rest easy. 5 words, 5 steps you can't skip. Many want to skip. Start with tactics. Start with winning. The plain book says, without the lower steps, the tactics above are a pavilion in the air. By day a pavilion looks fine. At night the wind blows and it sways. Swaying is insomnia. Steady is putting a little of way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, and ritual in the heart first. The original root also says, shared hardship yet different hearts. Shared profit yet different hearts. Shared danger yet different hearts. Shared joy yet different hearts. Shared likes yet different hearts. Shared dislikes yet different hearts. Shared desires yet different hearts. Shared aims yet different hearts. Shared trust yet different hearts. Shared doubt yet different hearts. Human hearts differ. You cannot force them into one shape. Don't let the length scare you. In plain speech, people in the same boat may still not pull together. People splitting the same candy may still keep separate accounts. So leaders and partners, don't expect everyone to think exactly like you. Difference is normal. To get things done amid difference, you don't guess hearts. You lay down way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, and ritual. Laying down is not fake unity. It's clear rules, fair benefit, and affection with measure. The original root also speaks of anger that lets the few overcome the many. Weakness that can control strength. Softness that overcomes hardness. Stillness that steadies motion. Distance that overcomes nearness. Ease that overcomes exhaustion. It sounds like war language. But it's really mind in rhythm. Anger is not random rage. It's the focused anger of the few against the many. Weakness is not real collapse. It's knowing the weak point can still control the strong. Softness is not having no bottom line. It's the patience of overcoming hardness with softness. Stillness is not doing nothing. It's using stillness to steady what moves. Distance is not running away. It's acting after the plan is set. Ease is not laziness. It's waiting with strength in reserve. If by day one sentence enrages you, and at night you replay how to win back, the plain book asks, is this the hour for anger? For stillness? For distance? Asking saves more sleep than answering in haste. What comes next is 2 words many readers skip, the right path. The second chapter, the right path, asks which road is the upright road. Right does not mean a moral slogan on a wall. It means not skewing. Not turning crooked. Not betting everything on a shortcut to the end. The right path says, the way cannot fail to be broadened. Virtue cannot fail to be deepened. Benevolence cannot fail to be widened. Righteousness cannot fail to be refined. Ritual cannot fail to be honored. broaden, deepen, widen, refine, honor, 5 verbs, all deepening. The way must be broad. Not a loud slogan, but a heart that can hold a larger view. Virtue must be thick. Not performance, but what time reveals. Benevolence must be wide. Not being a pushover, but helping and bearing with measure. Righteousness must be precise. Not petty counting, but clear principle. Ritual must be reverent. Not empty form, but respect and measure between people. Measure is what bedtime lacks most and needs most. Speaking with family. Working with colleagues. Talking to the voice inside that only wants to win. All of them need reverence. All need measure. The right path repeats, the way is to be clarified. Virtue is to be carried out. Benevolence completes. Righteousness steadies. Ritual nourishes, echoing the original root. But here with more weight on action. Action is walking, not reciting. You memorize benevolence, righteousness, and ritual. Yet by day you still snap. By night you still clog up. The plain book says you didn't walk the right path. You only memorized the signpost. A signpost doesn't cross the bridge for you. You still cross, again and again, like Zhang Liang putting on the shoe. The right path has a hard line. Once private intention sprouts, right and wrong swap places and gain and loss reverse. Private intention is self-interest. Counting only yourself. Once it rises, judgment tilts. What looks like profit may damage righteousness. What looks like loss may build virtue. At night, replaying "he didn't deserve that" or "I got the raw deal" is often private intention holding court. Court keeps you awake. The plain book says, see the private intention first, then speak of advance and retreat. Seeing doesn't mean cursing yourself. It means admitting I'm doing accounts right now. Then asking, do these accounts need to be settled tonight? The third chapter, Tactics and Wisdom, finally reaches tactics and cleverness. Many read only this chapter and decide the plain book is a strategy manual. The plain book would say, read it, but don't read only this chapter. Tactics and Wisdom says, cleverness cannot go unconsidered. Words cannot go unbelieved. Loyalty cannot go unfelt. Righteousness cannot go unstraight. Ritual cannot go unguarded. Cleverness must think things through. Words must count. Loyalty must be real. Righteousness must be straight. Ritual must be careful. Careful is not cowardice. It's knowing words have weight and deeds have consequences. Before you send a message, ask, is this believable? Righteous? Proper? Asking is steadier than replying in a second. Tactics and Wisdom also says, strike when the other side is weak. Avoid the solid and hit the empty. Avoid the strong and strike the weak. Avoid order and strike disorder, lines that echo the art of war. In the plain book they sit inside Tactics and Wisdom not to teach you to harm. They teach you that cleverness must pair with righteousness. Strike when weak means the other side already has a weakness. Not that you manufacture one. Avoid the solid, hit the empty means find the point that can move. Not dodge responsibility. At work, in friendship, even fighting your own bad habits, you can use this shape. Don't crash head on. Find the one point you can change. Change one point. Sleep comes a little nearer. Tactics and Wisdom also speaks of anger to unsettle. Humility to breed pride. Ease to wear down with labor. Closeness to create distance. Attack where there is no guard. Move where there is no expectation. That's tactical language. You need not memorize it all tonight. Remember one line, Cleverness is rhythm, not meanness in the dark. Meanness in the dark comes back at night. Rhythm is knowing when to provoke, when to retreat, when to let the other side show an opening. An opening is not harming someone. It's seeing the situation clearly on the affair itself. When the situation is clear, the heart is less chaotic. Chaos is the two extremes, giving up or only wanting to win. Clarity is the middle. The fourth chapter, Root Virtue and the Way as Source, is the spine of the whole book. Root virtue is virtue at the root. The way as source means returning to the way as origin. This chapter says, root virtue and the way as source establish the realm and govern the 10,000 things. Establish the realm doesn't mean you must do it tonight. It speaks of scale. Virtue and the way are the root. All under heaven are branches and leaves. However lush the branches, if the root rots, wind brings it down. Down may mean a company, a relationship, a body, or the confidence inside you. Confidence built only on winning collapses when you lose and costs you sleep. Confidence built on virtue and the way lets you lose and still sleep. Because the root remains. Root virtue and the way as source says, virtue is the root. The way is the source. Virtue is the trunk. The way is the spring. When the spring is clear, the stream runs straight. When the root is thick, the branch stands firm. It also says, the benevolent are what people draw near. The righteous are what people honor. The ritual-minded are what people respect. The wise are what people use. The trustworthy are what people entrust. 5 roles, 5 capacities. If people want to come near you, that's benevolence. If people respect you, that's righteousness. If people don't lose propriety with you, that's ritual. If people want to use your mind, that's wisdom. If people dare entrust you, that's trust. Entrustment need not be grand. A colleague telling you one honest sentence. A child telling you one hurt sentence. Both are entrustment. Betray it, and trust thins. Keep it, and the night feels solid. Root virtue and the way as source also describes what happens when way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, and ritual fall out of order. Lose the way and virtue goes. Lose virtue and benevolence goes. Lose benevolence and righteousness goes. Lose righteousness and ritual goes. Lose ritual and disorder comes. Disorder is not only outside. First it's disorder inside you. Inner disorder makes everyone look like an enemy and every step look like a trap. The plain book says, mend from the root. Don't only trim branches outside. Mending can be tiny. Tonight 1 fewer lie. 1 fewer blame shift. 1 fewer but he wronged me first. Small still counts as root virtue. The 5th chapter, Observing Righteousness, speaks of holding to righteousness. Observing righteousness is not the place named Junyi. Righteousness here means what is fitting, what should be, the bottom line. Observing righteousness says, righteousness is what is fitting. Ritual is the form. Wisdom is clarity. Trust is sincerity. Righteousness is sense of measure. Ritual is form and proper bearing. Wisdom is clear judgment. Trust is honesty. For strands, like 4 ropes keeping a person from sliding toward the crooked. Sliding often starts with just this once as an exception. Once, twice, and at night the inner debate begins, am I really that kind of person? Debate eats sleep. The plain book says, with righteousness in place, fewer exceptions. With ritual in place, fewer oversteps. Observing righteousness says, take righteousness as the standard. Ritual as the form. Wisdom as clarity. Trust as sincerity. Standard, form, clarity, sincerity, all standards. Before you act, ask, is it righteous? Is it proper? The question is not prudishness. It protects you from doing what will make you regret at midnight. Regret is noisier than failure. Failure can be repaired. Regret replays in the head. Replay is insomnia's regular guest. Observing righteousness also says, ritual is what straightens the self. Righteousness is what straightens dealings with others. Ritual uprights you. Righteousness uprights the measure between people. Upright self is the kind of upright where you can still face yourself before sleep. Upright others means not going too far with people by day. Not over-pleasing. Not over-controlling. Control at night often turns into why won't they listen to me? Whether they listen may not be a righteousness problem. It may be that ritual's boundary was never cleared. Clear it, and the pillow feels lighter. The 6th chapter, Securing Oneself Through Ritual, speaks of finding stability through propriety. Secure means settled, able to sleep. Securing oneself through ritual says, ritual settles the people. Righteousness settles the realm. Wisdom settles affairs. Trust settles people. Ritual for the people. Righteousness for the realm. Wisdom for affairs. Trust for people, from the realm down to a single bed, the same logic. Ritual, righteousness, wisdom, and trust exist so things may be secure. If the advance you seek leaves the heart insecure, the plain book says you advanced wrong. Or advanced too fast. Fast is not always wrong. Inner insecurity is wrong. Insecurity is the signal of private intention, lost righteousness, lost ritual. Securing oneself through ritual says, ritual governs the inner. Righteousness governs the outer. Wisdom governs affairs. Trust governs people. Inner is yourself. Outer is relationship. Affairs is work. People is entrustment. For drawers, don't cram everything into one. Cram all into affairs and home goes messy. Cram all into the outer and the self goes empty. Cram all into the inner and you turn selfish. Before sleep, sort the drawers. Not perfectly. Enough to ask, today did I lose ritual inside? Did I lose righteousness outside? That's enough. Securing oneself through ritual also has this line. Ritual straightens the self. Righteousness straightens others. Wisdom straightens affairs. Trust straightens speech. Straight speech is worth thinking about at night. Were today's words straight? Straight doesn't mean pretty. It means true, believable, righteous. One fewer crooked sentence, one fewer inner trial. Trial is the byproduct of giving up or only wanting to win. The plain book wants this: straighten, settle, sleep. 6 chapters together make one line. The original route sets the route. The right path chooses the road. Tactics and wisdom applies method. Root virtue in the way as source establishes the foundation. Observing righteousness holds righteousness. Securing oneself through ritual secures the person. Root, road, use, foundation, righteousness, security, lose one and you lean. Only tactics and wisdom makes cleverness without root. Only root virtue makes talk without deed. Only securing oneself through ritual makes softness without bone. Zhang Liang walked root, road, use, foundation, righteousness, and security. So he could withdraw and end well. Withdrawal is not defeat. It's security through ritual in place. You can listen to the plain book beside the art of war. Sun Tzu says calculate before battle. The plain book says build virtue before calculation. Calculation is reckoning. Virtue is root. Sun Tzu says avoid the solid, hit the empty. Tactics and Wisdom in the Plain Book says the same. But 4 chapters come before it. That foundation doesn't weaken Warcraft. It keeps Warcraft from turning on you. Turning on you is winning the game and losing the heart. Still empty at night. Empty is the common aftermath for people who read only Tactics and Wisdom. Beside the Guiguzi, Guiguzi waits alliance, speech, and change. The Plain Book waits root virtue, benevolence, righteousness, ritual, and security. Alliance and persuasion are tactics. Root virtue is root. When the root is steady, tactics don't turn crooked. Crooked works short-term and costs sleep long-term. Beside Liufan's 4 lessons, Liufan speaks of establishing destiny yourself. The Plain Book speaks of carrying virtue out in action. Establishing destiny is refusing to accept fate as dead in the heart. Building virtue is doing it bit by bit in affairs. The merit and fault ledger is Liufan's account book. Benevolence, righteousness, and ritual are the Plain Book's account book. You need not fill the ledger tonight. Note one line: today was I righteous? Proper? Trustworthy? One line is enough. Beside the Great Learning and the Doctrine of the Mean, the Great Learning speaks of cultivating self and ordering the family. The Plain Book speaks of root virtue and the way as source to establish the realm. Cultivating self is root virtue. Ordering family, governing state, and pacifying the realm are the outward push of right path, tactics and wisdom, observing righteousness, and securing through ritual. The Doctrine of the Mean speaks of timely balance. The Plain Book speaks of strike when weak and avoid the solid, hit the empty. Timely balance is what fits. The Plain Book adds one layer: should you strike at all? And after striking, will you be secure? If not secure, don't strike. If secure, then move. The move can be very small. Beside Mencius speaks of flood-like chi, the vast upright breath. The Plain Book speaks of root virtue and the way as source. Chi must pair with righteousness. Virtue must pair with the way. Chi without root is courage without ritual. Virtue with root is courage with measure. Measure is what bedtime lacks most. Beside Han Fei waits law, positional power, and method. The Plain Book also speaks of tactics and wisdom. But before tactics come right path and root virtue. Law and power are outer control. Benevolence, righteousness, and ritual are inner control. When inner control is steady, outer control hurts less. When inner control is empty, outer control at night turns into how did I become this person? The Plain Book is short. Yet it is a text for teacher to a king. Not teaching you to be emperor. Teaching you to become someone fit to teach an emperor. To teach others, first teach yourself. To teach yourself, first straighten the self. Here at Bedside Book Voice, straightening the self can mean this. Before sleep you can still face today's version of you. Facing doesn't mean reviewing until you break. Note one line. Where did private intention show? Where was righteousness straight? Where did ritual arrive? Arrived, sleep. Not arrived, jot it down, mend tomorrow. Mending saves more sleep than holding court at midnight. The original root has another line worth thinking about at night. Shared desire yet different hearts. Shared aim yet different hearts. Everyone wants the same thing, yet hearts don't align. You want sleep. Family wants talk. You want quiet. Neighbors want noise. You want retreat. The environment pushes you forward. Misalignment is normal, not bad fate. The Plain Book doesn't say make all hearts the same. It says amid different hearts, use way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, and ritual to set rules, set trust, set measure. Rules aren't cold. They let everyone settle. Settling is the precondition of sleep. In the right path, there's also a way of speaking about loyalty. Loyalty is not blind loyalty. It's sincerity toward what you serve. You serve a project, a family, an ideal. Sincerity is doing your part. Not performing devotion for show. Performance exhausts by day and empties by night. Empty, you look for compensation. Others' faults. The environment's faults. Fate's faults. Looking is weaker than asking, did I do my part? If yes, settle. If not, change a little, then sleep. In tactics and wisdom, attack where there is no guard and move where there is no expectation are often read as sneak attack. In the world of the plain book, it's closer to this. Affairs have places unprepared. Times have places the other side didn't foresee. That's reading the situation, not harming people. Reading the situation is to collide less, not to calculate more. Too much calculation makes the heart too fine to hold one honest sentence. Honest speech is trust. Trust is the hardest and costliest slot in root virtue. Costly because others must dare turn their back to you. Turning their back need not be grand. When a colleague dares say this plan has a problem, that's turning their back. Fail to catch it, and trust thins. In root virtue, when the way is source, the trustworthy or what people entrust can also be read as this. In trust is responsibility and trust together. You take responsibility, others entrust you. You shrug off responsibility, others slowly stop entrusting you. That doesn't mean instant rupture. It means slow distance. Distance at night becomes wide as no one come to me. The plain book says ask first, am I trustworthy? Do I carry responsibility? Responsibility can start with one small promise tonight. The message you said you'd answer tomorrow, answer tomorrow. The early sleep you said tonight, sleep early. Early sleep, here at Bedside Book Voice, counts as trust, ritual, and security. In observing righteousness, righteousness is what is fitting. Fitting, not what feels good. Feeling good often allies with private intention. At night the alliance holds trial. I felt good, is righteousness still there? If yes, sleep. If not, mend tomorrow. Mending can be tiny. One apology owed. One piece of work owed. One promise owed. The promise need not be grand. Grand promises often break. Keep one small promise and trust grows thicker. Thicker trust, lighter pillow. In securing oneself through ritual, ritual settles the people. People can be read as the people inside your heart. Many voices inside you contend, fear, want, regret. Like a little crowd. Ritual isn't crushing those voices. It gives them order. What must be thought, think by day. What must be released, release before sleep. Release isn't escape. It's after straightening the self, allowing yourself to sleep. Allowing is the gentlest line in securing through ritual. Gentle isn't soft without bone. It's still deserving sleep. Whether Huang Shigong was real, whether Zhang Liang's receiving the book was truly that mysterious, we need not judge tonight. Trust the structure and that's enough. The old man tests patience. The book tests virtue. Chaotic times test advance and retreat. Testing isn't tormenting you. It screens out people who only want tactics and won't build virtue. It also screens out people who only want to win and won't settle. Settling is the word bedtime lacks most. Lacking it, read securing oneself through ritual. Read one line, ritual straightens the self. Straight self is the kind of straight where you can still face the person in the mirror. We're about halfway through the program. In this small pause for breath, one small favor. If tonight's voice kept you company, tap like and subscribe. Like leaving a lamp on for me in the dark. No need to sit up. One finger is enough. All right. Let's continue. In the second half, I want to pull advance and retreat back to the pillow. Not let it turn into anxiety. The plain book isn't asking you to draft strategy at 2 in the morning. It's asking you to take one fewer private intention by day and one more act of righteousness. So at night you hold one fewer inner trial. Trial is the byproduct of reading only tactics and wisdom and not root virtue. Feeling everything must be one, so the mind rehearses again and again. Don't rehearse. Ask one line, is this step secure? If not secure, step back half a pace. Half a step back isn't cowardice. It's securing through ritual. Secure, and you can sleep. A few modern scenes, see if they match your life. At work, a project must be seized and you're burning to advance. That's private intention. You still work hard. But ask righteousness, trust, ritual. No grabbing credit, no shifting blame. That's the right path. In love, the other person turns cold and you want tactics to win them back. That's tactics and wisdom. First straighten self and speech. No manipulation, no testing. That's observing righteousness. With children, a child rebels and you want to crush them. That's using avoid solid, hit empty wrong. Still hold boundary, but with benevolence and ritual. That's securing through ritual. With health, the body flashes red and you keep pushing. That's wrong advance. Step back a little, sleep earlier. That's root virtue. Different scenes, same line. Ask secure or not first, then ask win or not. In old age, Zhang Liang studied fasting and wandered with Master Red Pine. That wasn't withdrawal from life. It was security through ritual in place. Retreat when it's time, hide when it's time. Many learn his counsel behind the curtain but not his graceful exit. Exit is the plain book's hardest lesson. Hard isn't face. Hard is the heart still wanting. Wanting is allowed. Wanting until you're insecure, the plain book says stop. Stop is stillness steadying motion. Stillness isn't lying flat. It's still keeping righteousness and ritual inside. Just no longer grabbing. Grabbing is loudest at night. The plain book is often used to speak of leading people and getting things done. A leader, in root virtue in the way is source, let people trust, gather, and entrust. Not fine speech, but straight righteousness, careful ritual, sincere trust. Subordinates, colleagues, family, all silently decide whether to entrust you. Entrustment isn't title. It's trust. Trust comes from small repeated acts. Do what you said. Don't take what isn't yours. Don't vent anger on the wrong person. Vent on the wrong person and trust thins. Thin trust scatters a team and scatters a home. Scattered, at night you wonder why no one understands me. The plain book says ask first, do you entrust others reliably? A few lines often quoted, let them live by the pillow. The way is to be clarified. Virtue is to be carried out, clarify is direction. Carry out is footsteps. Footsteps that never move make direction only a dream. Once private intention sprouts, right and wrong swap, when self-interest rises, everything looks crooked. Don't wrestle crooked accounts before sleep. Strike one weak, avoid the solid, hit the empty, find the point you can change. Don't crash head-on into what makes you insecure. Root virtue in the way is source establish the realm, the root is in you, not in applause outside. Ritual straightens the self. Righteousness straightens others. Straighten yourself first, then the relation. Straight isn't perfect. It's one fewer lie today than yesterday. One fewer boundary crossed. Another night common case. By day someone steals your credit. At night you decide I must get harsher. The plain book says, harshness without righteousness in tactics wins one round and loses the heart. Losing the heart costs more long-term than losing credit. Costly because you still can't sleep. You can use anger that lets the few overcome the many. Not anger at a person, but gathering anger into one clear action. Say what must be said clearly. Do what must be done steadily. Don't spread it. Don't harm in the dark. Gathering saves more sleep than refreshing the feed. In marriage, try securing through ritual. One fewer you must. One more how do we both settle? With children, try observing righteousness. Boundary is righteousness. Tone is ritual. At work, try trust. Deadlines promised, even small ones, keep when you can. With yourself, try root virtue. Today ask only is my root still here? Not am I doomed to be wronged? Being wronged is sometimes the surface view. Root in place is the inner view. Beside Cajun Tan, Cajun speaks of plainness. The plain book speaks of plainness inside advance and retreat. Advance when it's time. Retreat when it's time. And retreat is also plain. Beside night talks by the stove book is warm idle talk. The plain book is the old man's cold test at the bridge. Warmth comes after patience passes. Passing isn't cruelty. It screens out people who can build virtue. Building virtue starts tonight with one fewer private intention. Zhang Liang stood with Liu Bang, Xiao Yi, and Han Xian as the three heroes of early Han. He was the one who retreated most often. No clinging to power. No fighting for credit. No putting himself on the windy ridge. If you read only tactics and wisdom in the plain book, you may want to become Han Xian. Read all 6 chapters and you may want to learn from Zhang Liang. Not learning weakness, learning security. Security is knowing what you want and what you can let go. Letting go isn't failure. It's clarity in righteousness and ritual. Clarity saves you from the midnight replay, if only I'd grabbed one more step. That replay eats sleep worst. One more detail. At the bridge the old man made Zhang Liang fetch the shoe. Zhang Liang could have left. He was a fugitive. Why take this insult? He stayed because he saw not insult but test. Test, in the plain book, is almost the doorway to the way. Doorways are often ugly, small, humiliating. Humiliation for face alone makes you explode. Humiliation seen as building virtue lets you endure. Endure isn't cowardice. It's knowing something larger may follow. Larger need not mean a marquee 8. It can mean tonight you're a little more honest with yourself. Honesty is trust. Trust is root virtue. In history, the plain book is often paired with Huang Shigong's 3 strategies. Versions, authors, dates, scholars disagree. If the plain language plain book in your hands matches these 6 chapter names, you can listen. Listening matters more than memorizing. Memorizing is for exams. Listening is for bedtime. Bedtime wants structure, warmth, and one sentence. Build virtue first, then speak of advance and retreat. Advance and retreat can wait for tomorrow. Tonight settle first. Version questions, don't chase them tonight. The core is this. Way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, ritual, order cannot be scrambled. Tactics and wisdom come after root virtue. Securing through ritual is whether you can sleep at last. Being able to sleep isn't passive. It's after straightening self, speech, affairs, and others, when the heart holds no unpaid bad debt. Bad debt is what private intention, lost righteousness, and lost ritual leave behind. Less debt, lighter pillow. For people hard on themselves, the plain book speaks righteousness, not self-beating. Seeing private intention doesn't mean calling yourself filthy. Keeping ritual doesn't mean forcing perfection. The plain book wants, straighten the self, change a little, sleep. For people who rush, tactics come later. Ask secure or not first. Not secure, half a step back isn't cowardice. It's ritual. For people who compare, root virtue and the way as source aren't competing with heaven for credit. Root is in you, not on a leaderboard. For people who can't sleep, securing oneself through ritual is the bedtime chapter. Straighten speech, settle heart, allow sleep. If Zhang Liang could see you, he might add this. The bridge tested trust. Chaotic years tested righteousness. Old age tested retreat. 3 tests, 1 life. You need not live all 3 tonight. 1 test is enough. Promised early sleep, sleep early. Promised 1 fewer accounts settled in the head, settle it and sleep. Some read the plain book as office thick black strategy. That's not quite the same. Thick black loves thick face and black heart. The plain book speaks root virtue, observing righteousness, securing through ritual. Face may thicken a little. That's endurance. Heart must not blacken. That's righteousness. Black heart wins 1 round and still empties at night. Empty is the price of reading only tactics and not root virtue. The price is often collected in sleep. If you just finished Night Talks by the Stove or Liao Fan's 4 lessons, you can think of the plain book as bone supplement. The stove book warms. Liao Fan reforms. The plain book asks, while reforming, is righteousness still there? While advancing, is ritual still there? If yes, steady. If not, reform may be another form of private intention. Private intention at night loves to dress as I'm improving. Improvement within security, the plain book says settle first, then advance. Settling is ritual. Ritual is the last door before sleep. Close the door and dreams can enter. You need not perfect that door tonight. Push it shut a little. Enough. Pushing a little is also root virtue. Root virtue doesn't shout. It fits sleep. You need not become the sage of counsel. Only become someone tonight still willing to straighten the self. Straightening the self means still being honest with yourself. Honesty is the quietest force in the plain book. Quiet fits turning off the lamp. Closing the eyes. Handing tomorrow to tomorrow. Giving tonight back to sleep, back to the pillow, back to yourself. Enough. We're near the end. You needn't remember Huang Shigong, Yiqiao Bridge, or the 6 chapter titles. Remember only this. Before advance, ask virtue and righteousness. Before retreat, ask security and ritual. Use tactics only after the root stands. The root can be tiny. Tonight 1 fewer account in the head. 1 kept promise, that's root virtue. Root virtue doesn't shout. It fits bedtime. If Zhang Liang could see you, he might say, the shoe 3 times was testing you. The book for a lifetime is nourishing you. Nourish isn't feeding ambition. It's nourishing you until you can retreat, settle, and sleep. Sleep is the smallest daily securing through ritual. Securing through ritual isn't surrender. It's making peace with the voice at night that says you must win. Peace isn't lying flat. It's still being willing tomorrow to straighten self and speech again. Before good night, one small question. After tonight, which word do you want to try first? Way, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, or ritual? No need to answer now. After you wake, tell me in the comments. I read every one. If you like nights like this, subscribe and tap the little bell, so on the next sleepless night I can find you again. Next time we may read little window notes. The plain book teaches measured advance and retreat. Little window notes is more like a Ming literati opening a small window, telling you leisure and self-restraint line by line. Unlike the plain book's virtue-rooted strategy, it says in a busy age, keep a corner of idleness. Idleness isn't laziness. It's having a window in the heart. So when wind comes, you don't scatter. Scatter pushes sleep away. Window draws sleep near. Let the lamp stay dim. You needn't read all 6 chapters tonight. Advance and retreat needn't be mastered in one night. Tomorrow you'll still live as a person. Tonight live the lightest part of being human. Someone lying down. Someone who can still build virtue and still secure through ritual. If Huang Shigong could see you, he'd probably say that's enough. Tear one corner off the subtitle that says you must win. Leave tomorrow to tomorrow. Sleep. Good dreams to tonight's you. We'll meet in the pages tomorrow morning. One last gathering in for you. You don't need to become Zhang Liang or Huang Shigong. You only need to become tonight's self. The one willing to ask secure or not first. Insecure isn't weakness. It's the heart still holding a little righteousness and a little ritual. Secure isn't lying flat. Its roots still there. Able to sleep. Able to advance again tomorrow. Again can be very small. Very small is enough. Enough to sleep. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.